Hi, it's March and I've just come out in the garden to check on some cuttings I took in February, hardwood and softwood, to see how they're getting on. Here we have softwood cuttings here. These are thornless blackberries and they just went straight in. Half of the cutting is below the level of the pot, and I've pierced the pot underneath using my mini drill, so they've got drainage. In this pot next to it, these are more hardwood, which includes some fruit trees, i.e. apple and pear. There's an almond in there and also blackthorn. And I've taken lots of these little cuttings, mostly for my own garden, because if you lose stock in your own garden, it's nice to have a clone, if you like. And these ones here in the bucket are waiting treatment. I won't be using all of them, but they are black currants. Now's your last chance to do this, basically before the sap rises, because March will be the last time before the buds start opening, so it's a good time. Now's your last chance to get some cuttings done. Once you've had your cuttings out of your water, always keep them in water. Then you need to make your first cut. You need to find a bud on the stalk and cut just below the bud, right across horizontally, and then you go up, say about 8 to 10 inches, and make a 45-degree cut just above another bud, say that little bud here, but 45-degree slope above it to let water drain off. At the bottom where you've wounded it, you can scrape some of the bark off, but I'll show you. So this section here, which is from an apple, could make quite a few cuttings. I'm not going to use all of it. And then you need to dip it into your root hormone powder. You can see one I've done here. If I turn it around for you, I've wounded it twice to remove the bark on one side and on the side, and there's the cut underneath, okay, right across, and at the top there's a bud, as you can see there. I made a 45-degree slant. This is so that water can drain off the top, okay. Then I'm going to dip this end here, which is a straight cut just below a bud with the wounds on it, into my root hormone powder and shake off any excess, then straight into this container. I've also done an experiment with a longer cutting where I've done the same thing, where I've left more branches on this fruit clone of an apple. Okay, so the end of your plant will look like this. I've shaken off any excess and you've got your hormone powder there, root hormone powder on the end there. The rootlets will start to grow out from this stem where it's below the compost, so you need to put it in quite deep into the compost, okay, and then you can cover it, as I've done with other ones, with a plastic bag. So there you go. Here I've got some fruit trees, and I've also got the twisted contorted hazel. These are soft wood cuttings taken down from the allotment, and basically again it's soft fruit, so you can have things such as tayberries, thornless blackberries, and such like. Here we have hardwood cuttings, Mirabelle plum tree, and these have been kept just with a plastic sheeting over them to protect from the frost in February and the storms, etc. I've just lifted it off to show you, and hopefully in a few months' time these should be rooted. And to check whether they are rooted, you basically have to hold the cutting gently, and if it resists being pulled up, it means that the roots are starting to form. And just over half of the cutting is under compost, as you can see in this. This is a Turkey fig which was taken as a cutting from a parent plant. It's now in its second year and it's been pruned, and this is going to be its home in the pot. And amongst the other small cuttings I've got in there, I can see some very small green stalks. They are blueberry cuttings taken off the parent blueberry. If you want to have some more pollinators for your apple trees at the allotment, you might consider growing some crab apples, and these have grown from seed. As you can see, they've survived the winter and the seeds have sprouted, and these are various crab apples. And of course the birds love crab apples, and I've put a recipe on YouTube for using them as well with quince. So these are from a parent plant in the garden. If, like me, you've got a garden pond, one thing I do is, it's now the mating season, spawning season for frogs in the UK, warm days in March. Not warm yet, but I've put plenty of resting places for the females, because they will get jumped as soon as they get into this pond. There are already 2 resident males. Not all the frogs survived the winter, and I've cleaned the pond to clear it of the frogs that didn't, and it's all ready. Basically this pond holds about 350 litres, plenty of ledgers, and of course if fledglings fall in, they can get onto these resting points to get out and they won't drown. It's nearly 3 foot deep, you see. Little ledge there at the end there for frogs to hop onto as well. Plenty of food in here, because you get all sorts of breeding of pond insects as well. When the Iceman cometh in the shape of the beast from the east, it managed to split my bird bath, but never mind. Some handy silicone sealant has solved the problem, so I don't have to buy a new one. Make do and mend. And in the background there you can see there's lots of ground ivy where the birds could hide from those vicious storms, in the ice storm that went down to minus 6 on my thermometer, but a chill factor, the weatherman told me it was more like minus 10 on the chill factor here, even in the suburban place. Well, that's it for my quick update in March. So if you want to do your hardwood and softwood cuttings, now's the time.